A new World Bank economic report predicts Nigeria may be heading towards another economic recession. This is due to the volatile global oil market and dwindling price of crude oil. And this is coming just 3 years after the country edged out of its worst economic meltdown in nearly 3 decades. CGTN's Kelechi Emekalam tells us how this would impact on the nation.
Worrying predictions coming from the World Bank. Nigeria may be on the brink of yet another recession as oil prices fluctuate between $63 and $55 per barrel. The World Bank in its 2019 economic report has said if crude oil prices plunge by as much as 25% to $50 per barrel, it would significantly reduce economic growth and lead to another recession. Just 3 years back, Nigeria was hit by its worst recession in nearly 3 decades, with about 50% of its 200 million population living below poverty line. Another recession would have a devastating impact on the country and its people.
Another recession will mean that poverty rate that is already high. That same report said Nigeria will house 25% of global poor people in no time. It will mean that more poverty. It will mean that a lot of things Nigeria wants in terms of GDP that Nigeria will not be able to do. It will mean more unemployment. It's not really going to spell out. We cannot put our heads around it. You saw what happened to Naira to global currencies, particularly Naira to dollar, which was as high as over 500. It's a major thing we need to guide against.
Crude oil is Nigeria's mainstay, accounting for about 90% of export earnings and over 60% of government revenue. Government has made diversification efforts from its oil-dependent economy, vying into sectors like agriculture, services and mining. Experts advise on major reforms to avoid another economic downturn.
What we need to do is reform. If we want to go on reform in manufacturing, we should go on reform on that. Power supply, it should be a major reform. If we're borrowing money, it should go directly into infrastructure. And one of the way the world can see that we are serious about this, every single kobo generated from crude oil should be invested directly in infrastructure. Capital expenditure, not administrative capital expenditure.
Nigeria's growth has remained relatively slow since edging out of recession. The non-oil sector still lags behind, with 1.6% and 2.6% growth in the first and second quarter of 2019, respectively. Aside looking to other sectors, there have been cutbacks on government spendings and actions to increase its tax base, although not enough. Now authorities would be looking towards focusing on policies that would avert a looming recession. Kelechi Emekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.